Let's dive into one of the wildest, most counterintuitive stories happening in tech right now. It involves a massive $65 billion, some of the biggest companies on Earth, and one central nagging question. Why on earth are they all pouring money into their biggest competitor, a company called Anthropic? Okay, just to get a sense of the scale here, let's start with Google, the company behind the Gemini AI model. They've committed up to a jaw-dropping $40 billion to Anthropic. Seriously, just let that number sink in. It's one of the biggest single AI investments in history.
And that's not all. Just days before the Google news broke, Amazon jumped in with its own monster pledge of up to $25 billion. So yeah, in the span of roughly a week, Anthropic lined up a potential $65 billion in funding.
And this is the mystery at the heart of it all, right? On the surface, it makes zero sense. Why would you give your rival a massive war chest? But once you start peeling back the layers, you realize it's all part of a much bigger, much more strategic game for the future of artificial intelligence.
So to figure out why this is all happening, we first have to understand the who. How in the world did Anthropic become the most sought-after, most fought-over AI startup on the planet? Well, it really just comes down to insane momentum. I mean, check out these projections. Anthropic's annualized revenue is on a path to more than triple in a single quarter. It's expected to rocket from $9 billion at the end of 2025 to over $30 billion by March 2026. And a huge piece of that is their coding model, Claude Code, which developers are just flocking to.
This kind of growth, as you can imagine, has created an absolute feeding frenzy. There are so few shares available to buy that the demand is through the roof. On private markets, it's gotten so crazy that the company's implied valuation has hit an almost unbelievable $1 trillion. It is, as one analyst said, peak fear of missing out.
Okay, so we've established Anthropic as the hottest ticket in town. Now let's get to the first big clue in our $65 billion mystery. And it's this. A huge chunk of all that investment money, is it really going anywhere?
It's this brilliant, almost beautifully simple, closed loop. Look, step 1, Google gives Anthropic billions of dollars. But step 2, Anthropic needs a ridiculous amount of computing power to train its AI models. So, for step 3, where do they spend that money? On Google's own cloud services. The investment basically makes a U-turn and comes right back to Google as revenue.
A Reddit user had this perfect, if kind of gross, analogy for it, an investment rat king. It's this tangled, messy system where money just flows in a circle. The whole point is to lock in a huge strategic customer for your own platform. Microsoft really perfected this playbook with OpenAI, and now it looks like everyone's playing the same game.
But here's the thing, just getting that cloud revenue back is only part of the story. That boomerang of cash is actually hiding a much deeper, more strategic fight that's defining the entire industry.
You have to understand, building these cutting-edge AI models isn't just a software problem, it's a hardware and logistics nightmare. The single biggest thing holding anyone back is getting your hands on enough raw computing power, and the mad dash to secure that power is what's really driving these mega deals.
And this is the real war. Right now, the AI chip market is completely dominated by NVIDIA and their GPUs. To fight back, Google and Amazon have spent years and billions developing their own custom chips, Google's TPUs and Amazon's Trainium. So by funding Anthropic, they're not just getting a cloud customer, they are creating a massive, guaranteed buyer for their own custom hardware. They're fighting a proxy war against NVIDIA for the future of AI computing itself.
So this complex battle for computing has created an even more complex network of alliances. Honestly, these deals have spun up this tangled web of relationships that is the perfect example of the frenemy dynamic we see in tech all the time.
Just look at this. It shows how everybody is hedging their bets. Microsoft is OpenAI's #1 backer, but guess what? They're also an investor in Anthropic. Google and Amazon have their own premier AI models, but they're still dropping tens of billions into Anthropic. It's clear that in this race, nobody is willing to put all their chips on one horse.
So what's the result of all this? Well, with all these major players consolidating their investments, a lot of analysts are saying the AI race isn't really a big three anymore. Instead, it's shaping up to be a two-power standoff. You've got OpenAI, backed mainly by Microsoft, squaring off against what you could call the Anthropic camp, which is backed by, well, pretty much everyone else.
Okay, so you see billions of dollars flying around, competitors suddenly becoming partners. A pretty logical question pops into your head, right? Is any of this actually legal?
And the answer is yes, regulators are definitely paying attention. In the UK, the Competition and Markets Authority, the CMA, launched a full-blown inquiry. They wanted to know if these giant partnerships were basically mergers in disguise, designed to crush any real competition.
And the entire investigation hinged on this key legal idea called material influence. It's the big test. Did Google's massive investment give it the power to actually influence Anthropic's business strategy? Because if it did, the government could treat the whole thing as a merger.
But, and this is where the lawyers earn their money, these deals were structured so carefully. Google specifically got non-voting shares. They have zero rights to a seat on Anthropic's board. Plus, because Anthropic has multiple huge backers like Amazon, it's not totally dependent on any single one of them.
So what was the verdict? The CMA concluded that nope, Google did not gain material influence. It wasn't a secret merger, and the deal was officially cleared. It just goes to show you the incredibly fine legal line these companies are walking to make all this happen.
And this isn't just a UK thing. Back in the US, the Federal Trade Commission, or FTC, has launched its own investigation. They're looking at these exact same kinds of partnerships, and they're worried they could be used to lock in customers and really damage fair competition down the road.
And that really leaves us with the final multi-billion-dollar question here. Are we just watching a brilliant, complex game of chess, smart business where companies are fueling innovation while hedging their bets? Or are we watching them build the walls of a new closed-off ecosystem designed to corner the market before the race has even really started?